Hi again. Get this straight. I'm actually sure if Vader built his castle on Tatooine instead of Mustafar. Now remember, Mustafar is where Vader got cut down by Kenobi. But Tatooine is when he was a slave as Skywalker. So I see both plans was a good idea. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And again, the channel in the description below so you can check out the original video. But yeah, I see both plans are a good idea. Let's see what happens if we did it on Tatooine. Since Tatooine he is a slave, but Mustafar he got cut down by Kenobi. So let's see how this one goes.
What if Darth Vader built his castle on Tatooine rather than Mustafar? In the comics, Palpatine actually offered for Vader to build his castle on either Naboo or Tatooine, but Vader chose Mustafar. But what if he chose Tatooine? That's our story for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, so let's get right into it. By the way, please leave a like, helps a lot, thank you. Here we go. Our story begins inside of the Imperial Palace on Coruscant, as Darth Vader is returning from yet another mission to kill a surviving Jedi from Order 66. This time, Vader was returning from killing Eth Koth, and he was now kneeling in front of Darth Sidious. It has been 8 years since the Empire rose from the ashes of the Republic, and Vader was put into the suit for life. He sometimes missed the life of Anakin Skywalker, but he knew that time was past. Now Vader survived on anger and the desire to bring order to a galaxy that only ever let him down. And as he knelt here today, Darth Sidious began to unravel a new mission for Vader when Vader looked up and said that he was done with missions. Palpatine tilted his head with a small smile. It was good to see Vader break from his miserable shell and actually stand up for himself once in a while. Palpatine asked Vader what he meant, and Vader said that he has killed every Jedi they could find. He wants to rule his own world. And Palpatine said this could absolutely be arranged, telling his apprentice that they control the galaxy. All Vader must do is ask. So Palpatine asked if Vader wanted Naboo. Vader stayed silent. Palpatine asked about Mustafar. Again, silence. And so Palpatine asked about Tatooine, and the tiniest shift in the Force gave Palpatine his answer. Vader wants to return home. And Vader said yes, he wants to rule Tatooine. He wants to bring order and control to the wretched planet. Palpatine considered this. Tatooine could bring Anakin back out of Vader, but it could also kill any remnants of Anakin remaining. It was an excellent test for Vader. So Palpatine would grant this wish, and construction for a fortress on Tatooine would begin. On Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi was eating his daily small rations while looking out to the Lars homestead. Luke Skywalker was running around joyously, and Obi-Wan cracked a small smile. Luke often reminded him of young Anakin, and Obi-Wan closed his eyes, asking for Qui-Gon to come to him. He needed help. He was skinnier, his hair had grown so much longer, his connection to the Force was fading. This planet with the two suns was taking everything from him. And as Obi-Wan opened his eyes, he saw 3 Imperial Star Destroyers emerge from hyperspace at once. They were far in the distance, around where Kenobi knew Jabba's palace to be, and Obi-Wan had to simply hope they were here to negotiate with Jabba. Tatooine had an Imperial presence, as it was a small part of the Empire, but 3 Star Destroyers was more than ever. And Owen soon came to ask him, asking what was going on, and Obi-Wan assured him that they were not here for them. Inside of Jabba's palace, the Gamorrean guards were quickly met by Vader and a battalion of stormtroopers outside of the large door. The guards put up their weapons, but Vader threw them against the wall and moved in with stormtroopers dispersing down each and every hallway to secure the palace, while Vader went to confront Jabba. Soon enough, Vader stood face to face as the palace had been completely taken over with Jabba, and Jabba put down his hookah pipe and asked Vader what he wanted. Jabba knew of Vader, everyone involved in the crime business did, and Vader said that Tatooine was being taken over by the Empire. By him. Jabba can either relocate with funds from the Empire for his troubles, or he can die. Jabba laughed, saying the Empire wouldn't dare go to war with the crime families. It would disrupt trade and business across the galaxy. So Jabba said he was not going anywhere. He was calling Vader's bluff. Vader turned, guiding his men out of the palace, and once he was clear, Vader gave the signal to the Star Destroyers. Within seconds, they fired down to the sands, blowing up the entire castle, killing everyone inside. Vader did not fear a war with crime families, and this was just a show of what his rule on Tatooine would look like. As the castle was turned to rubble, construction of Vader's castle would begin on top of it. When the palace was blown up, the distant explosions could be heard by Obi-Wan, and he suddenly knew that this was not the typical Imperial occupation. The Empire was here to stay, and it was time for him and Luke to leave. But unfortunately, as Obi-Wan, Owen, Beru, and Luke snuck into the spaceport, they saw that it was full of Imperials. Hundreds of stormtroopers checking chain codes and arresting anyone without a chain code, and so the group had to go back to their home. Neither of Luke nor Obi-Wan had a chain code. They were unregistered. They must stay hidden. And Obi-Wan said he would personally call for help, then went into his cave to contact Bail Organa. Aboard his Star Destroyer, Vader was analyzing this planet as the Imperials on the ground were beginning a full planetary takeover, ensuring every citizen was registered with the Empire. Vader called a security officer to him and asked about a specific family here, the Lars family. Vader did have history with them, and the officer said that in reports about their moisture farming, some said that the Lars have a new young boy that was unregistered with the Empire, around 8 years old. Vader sat silently for a moment, then told the officer this was very good, and he will be taking a transport there. Inside of his cave, Obi-Wan was having trouble getting a message to Bail Organa. The Empire was disrupting communications in and out of the planet, and if Obi-Wan did manage to send a message, it would quickly be intercepted. Obi-Wan though suddenly heard a ship landing nearby. He ran to the cave entrance to see a transport landing outside of the Lars homestead, and out of it walked a tall, armored man in black with a group of stormtroopers. As Vader walked up to the home, something caught his eye. It was a grave, withering away in the wind, and on the grave read Shmi, loving mother and wife. And Vader suddenly felt anger rising up in him, the same anger he used on the Tusken Raiders that very day that she died. The Lars failed to protect his mother. If Anakin was able to save her, so much violence could have been prevented. Vader had mastered harnessing his anger in recent years to remain calm, but it all suddenly erupted, and he used the Force, blowing the top of the home away, then jumped down into it. Vader slowly stood up as Owen shot a blaster at him, but Vader deflected it, then lifted Owen into the air, choking his life away. He then threw Beru into the far wall, and then pinned her there with his thrown lightsaber. And he looked to both of them now, both trying to tell Luke to run, and Vader closed his fists as their bodies fell to the ground. Vader waved his arm, and Luke was shot with a stun blast, but as Vader was about to lift the young boy, he was pulled up to the sands with the Force. Vader looked up to see Obi-Wan. He pulled Luke away, and now Vader's suspicions were confirmed. This boy had to be the son of Anakin Skywalker. Why else would Obi-Wan be here? And as Obi-Wan got Luke to safety, he ignited his blue lightsaber, preparing to face this thing. He was Obi-Wan Kenobi. He'd taken on Maul, Dooku, Ventress, Grievous, and he even once did what he had to do, killing Anakin. He would kill whoever this was as well to protect Luke. Vader floated up to the sand, and he held up his saber now, saying their long-awaited meeting has come at last. Obi-Wan looked confused, and Vader asked how he could have been forgotten so quickly, after being left for dead in the fires of Mustafar. And Obi-Wan stepped back with fear all of a sudden, and said, "Anakin." Vader lifted his fist into the air, lifting a wave of sand, and he yelled that Anakin is gone. He is what remains, then threw the wave of sand at Obi-Wan before charging in with heavy swings. Obi-Wan slid away from the sand, then stood to block the strikes from Vader. He was fueled by sudden memories of his former apprentice. He was striking back with renewed strength, but Vader was a relentless force, his strikes powerful, fueled by the dark side. Vader quickly had the upper hand on Obi-Wan, and with each clash of their lightsabers, Vader pressed forward, driving Obi-Wan back step by step. And as they fought, the scorching suns beat down on them, intensifying the heat of their duel. Obi-Wan's breath grows labored, his movements becoming slower as fatigue was setting in. This revelation that Anakin survived and became this only hurt Obi-Wan in this fight. He couldn't believe what Anakin became. He couldn't believe what the Sith were doing to this galaxy. And sensing his new advantage, Vader unleashed a flurry of attacks, pushing Obi-Wan to the brink of defeat. And with a final powerful swing, Vader disarmed his former master, sending Obi-Wan's lightsaber flying from his own grasp. And Obi-Wan, now defenseless, was gazing up at Vader with true sadness and failure in his eyes. Obi-Wan was about to apologize, to ask Anakin to come back, but the red saber pierced his heart, and Obi-Wan fell dead with no words escaping his mouth. Vader slammed his fist into the ground, and the sands opened up a hole that Kenobi's body fell into. The sands covered him, and Vader looked down to the young Luke Skywalker. This was his destiny. 10 years later, Luke Skywalker woke up inside of the Tattooine fortress and made his way to the window. He looked outside to see the new Tattooine capital city under heavy construction, with Tusken Raiders working hard to put it all together for their Lord Vader. Luke sat down on his floor and he began to meditate, something Vader never really taught him to do, but something that helped Luke to manage his own anger. And Luke reflected on the 10 years since he became apprentice to his father. He remembered Vader and the stormtroopers coming to his home, killing his aunt and uncle. He was captured and he awoke inside of the fortress, back when it was barely put together at all. Luke was stubborn early on, refusing to speak or eat or even look at Vader. He missed his family, but Vader had told him the truth. It was Obi-Wan that took everything from his real family. Obi-Wan and the terrorist Jedi that cut down his father on Mustafar. Luke knew the truth now. Anakin was trying to bring peace to a warring galaxy when the Jedi tried to kill the Chancellor. So Anakin did what had to be done, and he paid for it. When Luke eventually opened himself to the Force and to Vader, his training would begin, and it would go extremely well. He started around age 10, and now at age 19, he was elite with the Force, and with his red lightsaber. In sparring duels with Vader, the two of them were basically even, and Vader had been practicing for decades. Luke was using the bled saber that once belonged to Anakin Skywalker. It was found in Obi-Wan's cave, and Luke has now been on many missions with his father at this point. He's even killed a few Jedi. On Lothal, he and Vader fought and killed Kanan Jarrus and Ezra Bridger, along with their rebel crew. Not long after, this was followed with a duel with Ahsoka Tano, where Vader did kill her, as Ezra could not save her from the world between worlds because he was dead. There was always war going on in these 10 years, most notably versus Darth Maul and his Crimson Dawn Empire, but they were dealt with. Luke and Vader once led a final battle against Maul and his forces on Obadiah, the home of the Pikes, one of Maul's greatest allies. And in this battle they were able to kill Maul, Kira, and any other leaders that dare stand against them because of what Vader did to Jabba's castle. Jabba warned him that war would come, and Vader embraced it. It was good for the Empire, good for them to stand up against something, and this war even helped the galaxy to almost rally behind the Empire, because it was better than a crime family rising up to lead the galaxy. In the duel against Maul, Maul had almost killed Luke that day, cutting off one of his hands that was now mechanical, and this made Luke feel closer to his father than ever before. It was like he was becoming part Vader. Perhaps the greatest achievement of all for Luke and Vader came on Tatooine itself. Vader once told Luke about the Tusken Raiders, and what they did to Luke's grandmother Shmi, and so Vader got his revenge on their entire group. But over the years, Vader would take on the Tusken Raiders. He would kidnap whole villages at a time. He would pay them off wherever possible for mercenary work against his own enemies. He would take the women and the children to draw out their aggression, slowly exterminating their leadership structure. The strongest warriors would be tormented, stripped of their homes and traditions. They would be taught to hate. The strong would kill the strong, until only the strongest remained. The Tuskens' religion was taken away, their suits were destroyed, and replaced with black armor, something more fitting for their new master. Their sticks they got to keep, because all they have left is brutality that they represent. And slowly but surely, Vader would give them a new identity, and he would mold them into his own personal army, enforcers he can dispatch around the galaxy, to serve as his own honor guard, like Sidious's honor guard, helping build this new Imperial city on Tatooine that he was using to rule from. It was brutal, but Luke and Vader felt vindicated for Shmi. They took the Tuskens and made them their own. The Empire was stronger than ever. Luke was fine with his place in all of this, with his seat next to Vader, ruling over Tatooine and the galaxy. And he ruled over Tatooine, once the home of nothing but crime and smuggling. It had now become home to one of the heaviest Imperial presences in the galaxy, as the Empire secured the trade and the smuggling routes here, taking them for themselves. Tatooine's economy was stronger than ever, affording this new Imperial city. And overall, the 10 years with Vader allowed Luke to use the darkness that was always inside of him to help keep this galaxy in line. But something recently began to bother him. Nightmares. Luke was having vague nightmares about his mother, and every night they became more clear. He'd see lava, her ship, and he saw his father before he was put into the suit. And one night, these nightmares finally became clearer than ever. Luke would see Vader lifting Padme, choking her, dropping her to the ground, as Obi-Wan tried to save her. Luke saw the truth. It was not Obi-Wan that killed his mother. No, instead it was Vader. And this made Luke very angry. He had questions, but the anger made him want revenge. So once these nightmares were clear, Vader would arrive back from a meeting with the Emperor, and Luke went to confront him. The Emperor did know about Luke, but Vader simply said that he was a child discovered on Tatooine, not that he was the son of Anakin Skywalker. Palpatine, though, was no fool. He could see through Vader's thoughts. He knew the truth. And so he gave these nightmares to Luke using Sith alchemy, the same trick he once used on Anakin. He wanted Luke to kill Vader, then come be his apprentice. So when Vader landed back in the fortress and the sands of Tatooine blew in from the outside, he saw Luke standing at the doorway. Through his heavy breathing, then come be his apprentice. So when Vader landed back in the fortress and the sands of Tatooine blew in from the outside, he saw Luke standing at the doorway. Through his heavy breathing, Vader asked his apprentice what was going on. Vader could feel his anger in the Force, and Luke asked Vader why he did it. Why did he kill Padme? Vader had to stop in his tracks. Padme. He missed his wife every day, and Vader told the truth now. He said that he was blinded by anger and by hatred, which is why he has mastered overcoming this anger and turning it into calm, reserved power. Luke's anger was still swirling. Vader asked how Luke found out about this, and Luke said he was having nightmares about it. Nightmares? Vader remembered his nightmares, the ones that came to him, and something clicked for Vader. These nightmares were not natural. No, they were created by someone. By Palpatine, first to turn Anakin on the Jedi, and now to turn Luke against him. And Vader told this to Luke, saying the Emperor can never be trusted, and if Luke trusts him, someday they can bring back Padme from the dead with power. Together they can find the power to do it. And so, Luke would trust him. They would come up with a plan. The Emperor underestimated just how close Luke and Vader had become over these years. Although they were dark side users, they truly were close as father and son, and Luke felt sorry for Vader upon learning about his path down the dark side. They would not separate easily. Sometime later, in his office on Coruscant, Emperor Palpatine would receive a transmission from Tatooine. It was Luke, and he told the Emperor that he has killed Vader. Then he kneeled to Sidious, asking to be the true new apprentice to the Sith. Palpatine smiled, telling Luke he has done well in replacing his father, and he will personally be coming to Tatooine. The message ended, and Luke looked to Vader. The plan was in motion. When Sidious arrived on Tatooine and entered the castle, something quickly felt off in the Force. It was like the Force was cut from this place altogether. But before he could think on this any longer, Luke came to him and knelt down in front of Sidious, proclaiming his loyalty to the Sith. Sidious said he has done well, and he has a mission for him. Take the Death Star to Alderaan. Destroy the planet. Luke said it will be done. But a moment later, a red lightsaber emerged through Sidious's back, and he fell to the ground, gasping for air. And Vader stood over him now. Sidious couldn't believe that he didn't sense Vader, but now he looked to the ceiling, and it was lined with Ysalamir, lizards that could wipe out the Force from any room they were in. Palpatine was tricked. He couldn't sense Vader, and he died looking up at the new Sith. Father and son. Master and apprentice. The royal guards would run at Vader and Luke, but Vader used the Force to stop them, then held up his saber, proclaiming himself as Emperor of the galaxy, and it is now their duty to serve him. The royal guards all looked to each other, and without speaking they knelt down to proclaim their own loyalties to Emperor Vader. And their rule on the galaxy would not be kind. Vader would soon speak to Tarkin and Thrawn, and the three of them would agree on one thing. Palpatine was far too relaxed when it came to the rebellion. He didn't see them as a true threat, and that would change under Vader. Tarkin would take the Death Star to Alderaan without any warning, and he would blow it up. Then the Imperial Senate would be disbanded, as Senator Leia Organa died in the explosion. Leia was a beacon of hope for many, including Yoda, who was waiting for her on Dagobah. She would never come, and Yoda would die alone on Dagobah as the last of the Jedi. Thrawn would get full control of the Imperial military and begin squeezing systems tied to the rebellion, until the rebellion eventually revealed itself. Battle after battle would be won by Thrawn, including over Scarif. The rebellion would die without ever getting plans to the Death Star, and the Empire, with Vader and Luke leading many of the ground assaults, would win battle after battle. Vader would soon form more of an Imperial trio with him, Thrawn, and Tarkin, ruling the Empire together, while he tasked Luke with restarting the Inquisitorius, with Force-sensitive children found across the galaxy. Over the years, this new empire would rule with true Imperial power, with no planets willing to rise up because of fear of the Death Star. The Death Star would someday blow up Coruscant a few years after Alderaan because of the Undercity forming an alliance with unhappy former senators. Before this new rebellion could ever rise, the planet became nothing but floating rocks in space. The Empire would reign for years, with no one to stop the father-son duo of Vader and Luke. And at the height of their power, the two of them would spend years working on something that Darth Plagueis only got started on, influencing midichlorians to create life. The two of them would travel to Naboo, and after years of training, they would use the dark side of the Force to revive Padme's midichlorians. After hours of work, they revived Padme, but because they used the dark side, Padme herself was infused with darkness, and so once revived, she had no issue stepping in as Empress to continue ruling the galaxy with them for as long as they lived. And folks, that is our story for today, of what if Vader ruled Tatooine instead of Mustafar. This is an idea I've had for a while, but I don't know, I just really felt like doing it the past couple days, so had fun with it a lot. I really just like the idea of Vader, I don't know, choosing Tatooine and it just resulting in a lot of luck for him, with Luke being there, Obi-Wan. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the story altogether. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I appreciate you listening. What do you think of the 10-year jump and then kind of reliving the 10 years in maybe like a meditation session? I thought that was an interesting path to take, doing the 10 years later and then just having Luke, you know, recap what happened in those 10 years. I like that better than just kind of going event by event through the time. I don't know. It was just a quicker but also more interesting way to do it, so let me know what you thought of that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Lord Vader. Good. I thought different things would happen. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I'll put the channel in the description so you check out the original video of the channel from the channel. Bye for now, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.